Hello, 8th graders. All right, so today what we're doing is we are using the applications of scientific notation. So the applications of scientific notation is just a really fancy way of saying we're going to multiply and divide using scientific notation. Okay, so when we look here, okay, flip it around, all right, here's our, multiplying and dividing numbers in scientific notation. Okay, if we remember, order does not make a difference in multiplication. So really, everything here is just being multiplied. Okay, so what we could do is we could rewrite this as 4 times 2 times 10 cubed times 10 squared. Okay, because all we're doing is we're just multiplying. Now, 4 times 2, that's pretty easy. That's 8 times. Now, if I have 3 tens and I multiply it by 2 more tens, that should give us a total of 5 tens. So we get 8 times 10 to the 5th. Now that's the scientific. Sometimes they ask you to write it in scientific, sometimes they ask you to write it in standard. Okay, so this is scientific notation. Okay, standard, okay, is going to be 8, and then we move the decimal 5 spots. Because it's positive, we're going to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 800,000. Now this does not mean there's 5 zeros, because if there was a decimal with other numbers, that would change that. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, again, we can change the order. So we go 5 times 6 times 10 to the 6th times 10 to the negative 2. Now, 5 times 6, that's easy. That's 30. Okay, times. Now, here we just added these. We're going to do the same thing here. So if we have 6 plus negative 2, we get 10 to the negative 4. Or, sorry, not the negative 4. I'm sorry. To the positive 4. Okay? Now, this is not correct. Because remember, the golden rule of scientific notation is you only get one number to the left of the decimal. So we're going to have to move the decimal here. Sometimes you can't remember, am I going to make that a 10 to the 3rd or a 10 to the 5th? Because I got to move it one spot. The easiest way is, if you're confused at all, write it out in standard form. So we go 30 and then we move it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 300,000 happens to be this one. Now, to be able to figure out the scientific notation, we say we move back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it ends up being 3 times 10 to the 5th. Okay. Now, the next one, we take 5.5 times 2 times 10 to the 4th times 10 cubed. All right. Well, 5.5 times 2, that's like $5.50, and $5.50, we would get 11. So we get 11 times, remember you add the exponents, so that's going to be 10 to the 7th, right? So if, whoa, I am sorry, okay? So if we take 11 and then we move the decimal 7 more times, that's how many zeros we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now remember, I said up here you can't just count it, but it's because the decimal is behind the 11. So if we move it back, how many would we move it back? You'd move it back 8 to put the decimal right there. So don't forget your commas. Commas are always important. But we'd say 1.1 times 10 to the 8th power. Okay. Now let's work on some division. Okay. Division is very similar to the multiplication. It's not that bad to do. Okay. All you're going to do is divide these two numbers out and then find the difference between these two. Okay. Because if I had 8 tens up here and I had 5 tens down here, the 5 would cancel out 5. The 5 on the bottom would cancel out 5 of them on the top. Okay. But 8 divided by 2 is 4 times 10. Well, if I have 8 and I take away 5, I'm left with 3. Okay. Standard form,
is 4,000. Okay. Now let's look at this one. Ooh, 2.4 divided by 6. Sometimes that's hard to tell. So if I'm going to move the decimal one spot here, I'm going to take one down here. So that ends up being 24 times 10 to the 12th divided by, we don't change anything here on the bottom, 6 times 10 to the 5th. 24 divided by 6 is 4 times, now if I have 12 of them on the top and 5 of them on the bottom, finding the difference between these two numbers leaves me at 10 to the 7th, which ends up being 40 million, right? Close to what I make in a year. So that is it for
lesson 4.4. You have problems 1 through 13. Okay. Please send me a chat if you have any questions on this. Have a good day. Bye-bye.